So you finally get into flow and your brain is working, you're crushing everything, all your tasks are getting done, everything feels possible. And so you push harder, you keep going, you ride the hyperfocus wave until what, 2 a.m.? Because who knows when you'll feel this productive again. And then you wake up the next day completely depleted, feeling like a total potato. You can't focus on anything and your brain feels like static. And so you spend the next 3 days trying to recover from one good working session. This is the focus trap. And it's why neurodivergent entrepreneurs burn out faster than anyone else. And the very thing that makes you productive is the thing that can destroy you. Let's talk today about how to break this cycle.
Yo. Yo. Yes.
Yo, it's Alyece, say it right, no cap. ADHD CEO, yeah, we run this track. Systems that slap, brains built different. We make sales in our sleep, yeah, the hustle's efficient. This ain't fluff, nah, this is strategy raw for the ADHD. Minds breaking every old law. Hit subscribe, don't miss a single show. We're running on dopamine, let's go. Let's go.
So here's the pattern you're probably stuck in. You have inconsistent energy, inconsistent focus, and some days your brain works, most days it doesn't. So when you finally have a good day, you try to do everything, all the tasks, all the clients, all the content, everything you've been putting off, and you work for 12 hours straight. You skip meals, you don't go to the bathroom, you're ignoring your body's signals because you're terrified this productive window will close and you'll be back to struggling. And then it crashes hard. And you spend the next week barely functional, beating yourself up for not being able to maintain that pace. And what no one tells you about this isn't really a discipline problem. Okay, this is your nervous system trying to protect you from yourself. And ADHD brains don't have the same internal regulation systems that neurotypical brains have. And so we don't feel tired until we're completely depleted. We don't notice hunger or thirst when we're hyper-focused. We push past our limits without realizing we're doing it. And the business world rewards this type of behavior, right? Hustle harder, sleep when you're dead, push through. But for ADHD brains, pushing through leads straight to burnout. Not the I need a vacation kind, the I can't get out of bed for a week kind. And so I want to talk about the stories you kind of tell yourself that make the burnout worse. This I have to work when my brain works belief. You've convinced yourself that because your focus is unpredictable, you need to maximize every productive moment. So when hyperfocus hits, you exploit it until there's nothing left. And so it feels logical, but that is the exact thing creating this boom bust cycle that destroys your health. And so inside ADHDpreneur Academy, this is why I talk about sustainable focus strategies and ways to harness that hyperfocus without burning out. Because working with your ADHD doesn't mean working yourself into the ground. And so the rest is wasted time trap. This is something else I see very often is ADHD brains are terrible at resting. I know I am, right? If I take a day to be a couch potato, I'm okay, what can I do on my phone while this just plays in the background? Of course, I end up rewinding 100 times because I wasn't paying attention to the actual show. But how can I rest and be more productive resting, right? Even when we're exhausted and our brains are still going. So we convince ourselves that if we're not producing, we're wasting time. And rest is when your brain processes, consolidates, recharges. Without it, you're just done. You're not just tired, you're actively degrading your cognitive function. And so that's why inside my Focused and Free membership, we work on redefining kind of what productivity and looks like and including rest in it, because you can't outrun your nervous system and its need for recovery. Another thing I very often see is the I could push through. And look, there are going to be times in your business where you will have to push through. There's going to be a deadline. There's going to be one that's super crunched and it just has to happen. But neurotypical people can push through fatigue to a degree, but their brains kind of give them this warning signal before they just hit a wall. Our brains don't do that. We go from I'm fine to I can't function with no middle ground. So by the time you realize you need to rest, you're kind of already in burnout territory. And so this isn't a willpower problem. Okay. It's not that you don't want it bad enough. This is a neurological reality that you need to plan around. And so I want to talk a little bit to you about this hustle culture and how it teaches, that accelerates ADHD burnout and what they're teaching. So I know one thing I hear very often, in my community, in my comments from other entrepreneurs is, consistency is key. And that's truth, right? You got to build habits to make it second nature to do. But every business coach out there tells you show up consistently, post every day, work regular hours, maintain steady output. And a lot of that is true. It's great advice. But ADHD brains don't work consistently. We work in bursts and valleys. Trying to force consistent output when your brain isn't built for it that way is a one-way ticket to burnout. So what I like to teach my clients is, there is a way to be consistent without you being on every day. It's called scheduling tools, planning, and automation, period. And so you don't have to be consistently on. You just need to be strategic about when and how you work to plan for that. And this is definitely something, like I said, I deep dive in with my clients, and I even offer growth game plan sessions if you've never heard of that, where, I do a full business audit for you of your content, your offers, your sales pages, all of that, and let you know like where you need to streamline and automate to be able to give you some of that time back and pull away some of that burnout. Because building a business model that works with your energy patterns is the only way you're going to be sustainable as a neurodivergent entrepreneur. Another thing, and I truly believe this at my core, I used to honestly brag about it, which is kind of embarrassing now, but the more hours equal more success. There's kind of this idea like the more time you put in, the more successful you'll be. So you work longer hours than everyone else, thinking it'll compensate for the days that your brain doesn't work. But yes, there were a lot of days in the beginning of my business where I think I was at my computer 24 hours. It's kind of, like I said, it's embarrassing now to think about like, man, I really did miss out on a lot of life that year. But how much of that time was I actually like depleted and not really putting out anything quality wise? More hours doesn't necessarily equal more output. It just equals faster burnout. So quality focused work beats quantity of exhaustive work every single time. And so you've been taught that taking breaks means you're not committed, that resting is lazy. But if you're serious about success, rest and recoup time has to be a priority. And so this mindset of self-care is selfish is dangerous for us because we already struggle with guilt about our inconsistent productivity. So we punish ourselves and overwork to prove we're trying hard enough. But burnout doesn't care about how hard you're trying. It just cares about what comes out of it, right? It just happens when you ignore your limits long enough. And so my breakthrough came when I realized, I wasn't burning out because I wasn't working hard enough. I was burning out because I was working against my body. And I know that sounds like so woo-woo is the only word I can come up with. But I mean, my brain would just go, 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 but my body could not. And so I stopped trying to match the work schedules that I had been trained to do in corporate. I stopped feeling guilty about needing more rest. I started building my business around my actual capacity, not the capacity I wished I had. And the paradox here is I came more productive, not because I worked more hours, but because I stopped spending half of my time recovering from overworking. And so you can't hustle your way out of ADHD. Can you use it as an excuse to be lazy? 100%. Conversations with people all the time that are like, well, that's not how my ADHD works. And I'm like, well, that's because you're not taking any of the advice. But you can only build systems that protect you from the focus traps. And again, that's what I do with my clients is really teaching them that sustainable business strategies are so important if you want to be in business for a long time, if you want to be profitable, period, the end. So if you've ever listened to any of my episodes, I'm super tactical. I don't like the gray area of concepts. I want to give you like action items. So here we go. Here's how you can actually prevent burnout when your brain doesn't give you like reliable warning signals. Number one, the energy budget system. So you have a limited amount of time of focused energy every day. And it's so funny because I'm really getting my book ready to be out at the end of this year. And I was just writing like the whole chapter about your peak times, but it's not infinite. Just because you're hyper focusing doesn't mean you have unlimited amount of energy. So you need to budget it, kind of like money. So like your high value task, get your premium focus energy. Everything else gets low energy or eliminated or outsourced, period, the end. But like an example, right? Client work should probably happen during your peak hours. Those people are already paying you. Admin tasks and those types of things should happen during your low energy window. Emails get batched once a week. You skim them every day, but you don't need to get them to zero every day. Okay. When you treat your focus as a finite resource, you'll stop wasting it on things that don't really move your business forward. So I want you to look at tracking your energy for a week, not when you have high focus or medium focus or low focus, but like actual energy levels. Are you a 1? Are you a 10? Are you a 5? When you start to kind of notice your patterns, you'll be able to really, really show up on those needle moving tasks. Number 2 here is set a timer for your hyper focus sessions, and a hard stop rule. So when it goes off, you stop. Even if you're in the flow, I know it's hard. Oh my gosh, sometimes I just want to vomit if I have to stop in the middle of something. But it feels counterintuitive, I know. But when you stop while you still have energy, it prevents you from crashing the next day. So, however long your hyper focus sprints are right now, adjust that based on your limits and respect that timer. It's a deadline. So, download a timer app, get you on Alexa, whatever you got to do. But this is so important for you to get up, move your body, drink some water, eat something, step away from the screen. Okay. Another thing that you should have is a recovery first calendar. So most people schedule work first and fit rest around it. We kind of have to do the opposite. And I've done this a lot in my business this year with completely unplugging on the weekends. If I post content, it's in my drafts and I'll just go click post. Or if I got it into my scheduling tool, it was pre-scheduled. I don't go on social media on the weekends. I know that sounds crazy, but Saturday, I'm usually at the softball field all day. Sunday, it is just me. Whether I'm cleaning my house, doesn't matter. But my free time doesn't equal free time. And so I have to block out that recovery time and protect it. And that also includes like daily breaks, weekly downtime, monthly rest days, non-negotiables. It's so important for you to open your calendar right now and block out some rest periods. Treat them as unmovable. Because you might be thinking, oh, well, if I'm not doing work during that time, I'm losing money. You're losing money the rest of the time because you're so burnt out. People are only getting half of you. And since your brain won't tell you when you're approaching burnout, you need kind of some external indicators, right? Some physical signs, skipping meals, poor sleep, getting sick frequently. Everything feels hard, being extra irritable, crying easily, feeling numb, avoiding people. Can't make decisions, you're forgetting the obvious things, you're unable to start tasks. When you notice these are happening, it's kind of a warning sign for you. So you need to really get in tune with what this looks like every day. And a lot of times this is being honest with yourself, not just avoiding it. And the last thing, just in case you need this, because I feel like sometimes I need it too, permission to rest. Okay. If you need explicit permission to rest because your brain won't give it to you, I'm giving it to you right now. I'm giving it to you right now. Okay. And again, I'll be talking a lot about my entire system for this in Flow First Thinking, my book coming out later this year, but I'll have the link in the show notes for you if you want to get on the wait list for when it's launched, because the first 50 people on the wait list that make a purchase will definitely get some super special secret bonuses. But I want you to kind of write out your rest protocol right now. What signals trigger what actions, right? I'm going to take a full day off with guilt when I start feeling like this. When I'm irritable and foggy, I will take all non-essential things off of my to-do list and focus on one. Some really quick prevention strategies for burnout for you as well. Set multiple alarms, prep food before you start, use body doubling to help you take breaks. Okay. During those low energy days, lower your standards a little bit. I know it's hard, but it's okay to have low output days. Those are natural. And for guilt management, because I know you're going to feel guilty about resting, remember that burning out helps absolutely no one. Absolutely no one. And so I do kind of daily tips like this inside Unmasked, my free Telegram community. So I'll have the link to that in the show notes as well. But definitely jump in there for like accountability around actually taking breaks, because our brains need external accountability for rest, not just work. And so the focus trap is real. And if you're listening to this and recognizing yourself, you're probably closer to burnout than you realize. So this is your permission to stop punishing yourself and to rest before you crash, to build your business around your actual capacity instead of the capacity you think you should have. This is not a marathon, okay? This is a marathon, not a sprint. And you can't win a marathon by sprinting until you collapse. Pick one strategy from what we talked about today, just one, implement it this week. Don't try to overhaul your entire approach. This is that trap talking to you. And if this episode made you realize you're in the focus trap, share it with another ADHD entrepreneur. Take a screenshot of you listening to this, throw it in your stories, tag me on IG at socially.awesome. I'll have my link in the show notes as well. But I want to celebrate you. I want to know what you're doing here and how you're going to start building sustainably. Sometimes we just need someone else to tell us it's okay to slow down. And so I'm here telling you that today. So if you're ready to build, sustainable business strategies, check out the Academy as well, because your business needs you functional long-term, not just brilliant for 2 weeks and then burned out for 3 months. Until next time, make it simple, make it social, and make it awesome.